Hello everyone and welcome back to Learn English with Podcasts.
Hi, everyone. Really glad you're here with us today.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Sarah. And before we jump in, quick reminder for everyone watching on YouTube.
Yes, good point.
If English isn't your first language, turn on the subtitles. Hit that CC button at the bottom of the screen. You'll get a real-time translation while you listen. It makes a huge difference.
Especially for vocabulary episodes like this one, where every word counts.
Exactly. Okay, episode 12.
12. We're moving.
We really are. 30 families total, and we are well into it.
And today's family, I have to say, is one of those that hits close to home.
Literally.
Literally, because hand is a verb that shows up everywhere in daily life, in family situations, in routines, in the moments that actually make up a day.
And you had one of those moments recently, right?
I did. So, a bit of context. My sister just moved into a new apartment.
Oh, nice. Is it close to you?
About 20 minutes away, which is perfect, actually. Close enough to help, far enough for everyone to have their space.
That's the ideal distance.
It really is. So the move happened last weekend, and I went over to help her settle in.
That's very brotherly of you.
I try. So I get there, and her place is full of boxes and bags and furniture that's only half assembled.
The classic moving day chaos.
Total chaos. And my sister, bless her, is incredibly organized in her head, but not always in her actions.
What does that mean exactly?
It means she had a very clear vision of where everything should go. But executing that vision required everyone else doing exactly what she said.
She was the manager.
She was absolutely the manager, and I was the team.
Just you?
Me and her neighbor, actually. This lovely older gentleman named Patrick, who just appeared at the door with a screwdriver and said, "I heard noise. Do you need help?"
Oh, that's wonderful.
It really was. So the three of us are working through the boxes, and at some point my sister hands me this enormous stack of papers.
What kind of papers?
Old documents, bills, letters, some going back years. And she says, "I need you to hand these out into piles. Keep, bin, archive."
Oh, the classic paper sort.
I hate the paper sort, but fine. So I'm going through them, and I find this old notebook.
What kind of notebook?
It was a grandmother's, full of recipes, handwritten in this beautiful old-fashioned script.
Oh, that's special.
Very special. And my sister saw it, and she immediately said, "That's going in the keep pile. That gets handed down."
She didn't even hesitate.
Not for a second. And I completely agreed. Some things you just don't throw away. You keep them. You pass them on.
It's funny how moving house makes you think about that. What you carry with you, what you hand on to the next generation.
Exactly. And then Patrick, he found a box of old tools, and he picked up this old hammer, and he said, "I used to have one exactly like this. My father handed it down to me."
And then he handed it back to your sister?
He did. He handed it back very carefully, like it was something precious.
Because for him it was.
For him it was. And by the end of the afternoon, the apartment was starting to look like a real home, and my sister handed over a key to me.
She gave you a key?
She gave me a spare key, said, "For emergencies," which I think means for when I need help with more boxes.
Almost certainly.
Definitely. But I took it, because that's what family does.
It's a gesture of trust, really.
It is. And then at the very end, there was this moment. My sister was exhausted, Patrick needed to leave, and she had this whole folder of paperwork from the building management to deal with. Applications, forms, notices.
Moving admin, the worst part.
The absolute worst. And she just handed it off to me, slid the folder across the table and said, "You deal with this. I'm done."
Classic.
I didn't even argue. I just took it because she'd organized the entire move. She earned it.
That is very fair, actually.
And what struck me later, sitting in the car on the way home, was how many times that verb hand had come up during the day.
Without you even thinking about it.
Without me even thinking about it. Handing things out, handing things back, handing things down, handing things over, handing things off.
It's one of those verbs that's completely woven into everyday life.
Because so much of what we do every day involves passing things, giving things, transferring things.
Responsibility, objects, traditions.
All of it moves through the verb hand.
And today, we're going to break down 7 phrasal verbs built around it.
7, which is our biggest family in a while.
But they're all very usable, very practical.
And once you understand the logic of the particle, they make complete sense.
That's what we always say, and it's always true.
The particle is the key. Hand in, hand over, hand out, hand back, hand down, hand off.
7 directions, 7 situations.
And all of them come up in real life, in professional contexts, in exam questions, in daily conversations.
So if you're preparing for TOEIC or IELTS, pay attention to this family. It shows up regularly in the reading and listening sections.
And if you're just trying to speak more natural English, same advice. Pay attention.
These are the verbs that native speakers use without thinking.
Which means they're the verbs you want to use without thinking, too.
That's fluency. That's the goal.
All right, we've got 7 verbs to get through, and I want to do each one properly.
Okay, 7 phrasal verbs with hand. Let's go through every single one.
And what I love about this family is that they all share the same core idea.
Passing something.
Passing something from one person to another, from one place to another, from one generation to another. But the particle tells you exactly how.
The direction changes everything.
Every time. All right. First one.
To hand in.
To hand in means to submit something, to deliver something to a person or a system that has authority over it.
Think of handing in a report to your manager, handing in an assignment to a teacher, handing in a form to an administration.
You're not just giving something to anyone. You're giving it upward to someone who has authority to receive it.
Please hand in your assignments by Friday.
Clear, direct. There's a deadline and there's an expectation.
She handed in her resignation letter this morning.
And that's a big one. Handing in a resignation. You're submitting something official to your employer.
To the hierarchy. To the hierarchy.
Exactly. And the particle in?
In gives the idea of inserting something into a system or transmitting it toward an authority. You're placing something inside a structure that will receive and process it.
Like putting a letter in a box. It goes in, and someone with authority takes it from there.
So, handbin means submit or deliver something to an authority or a system.
Second one, to hand over.
Oh, this one is very versatile.
Very. To hand over means to officially transfer something to someone else. Control, possession, responsibility, power.
It's a formal gesture. Something is changing hands.
For example, he handed over the keys to the new manager.
The keys, which is the perfect metaphor, actually.
Keys represent access, control, authority. Handing them over is a symbolic act.
This is yours now. I'm stepping back.
The outgoing president handed over power during the ceremony.
That's as formal as it gets, but you use the same verb for everyday situations too.
Can you hand over the file when you're done? Same verb, much lower stakes.
And the particle over?
Over suggests a crossing. Something moves from one side to another's, from one person's control to another's. It's a transfer of ownership or authority.
Like passing something across a table. It leaves your hands and enters theirs.
So, hand over officially transfer control, possession, or responsibility to someone else.
Third one, to hand out.
This one everyone knows, or thinks they know.
To hand out means to distribute something to multiple people. You're not giving to one person, you're giving to many, spreading something outward.
The teacher handed out the exam papers to the students.
One paper per student, moving outward from the center to the group.
Another example, they handed out leaflets at the entrance of the conference.
Same idea. One source, multiple recipients, things moving outward.
And hand out can also be a noun, a handout.
Yes. Did you get the handout from this morning's meeting? The document that was distributed.
Very common in professional and academic settings.
And the particle out?
Out expresses dispersion, things moving away from a central point toward multiple directions. You're spreading something outward to a group.
Like rays from a sun. One source, many destinations.
So, hand out means distribute something to multiple people.
Fourth one, to hand back.
Simple and very useful.
To hand back means to return something to the person who originally gave it to you or who owns it.
You received it at some point, and now you're giving it back.
He handed back the book he borrowed last week.
He had it, he used it, and now it goes back to its owner.
In my sister's story, Patrick handed back the old hammer very carefully because it wasn't his. It belonged to her.
After the review, the manager handed back the documents with her comments.
She received them, she worked on them, and she returned them with something added.
The particle back?
Back expresses a return to the sender or the original owner. Something is going back to where it came from. Restitution.
What was temporarily yours goes back to where it belongs.
So, hand back means to return something to its original owner or the person who gave it to you.
Fifth one, and this one I find really beautiful actually.
To hand down.
To hand down means to transmit something across generations or down a hierarchy. Values, objects, traditions, knowledge, decisions.
It's not just about giving, it's about preserving, carrying something forward through time.
This tradition has been handed down through generations.
Nobody invented it yesterday. It comes from somewhere, from someone, and it was passed down deliberately.
Another example, my grandfather handed down his tools to my father, and my father handed them to me.
There's a chain, a line of transmission. Each person received something and chose to pass it on.
The company's values were handed down by the founder and are still central today.
They didn't appear from nowhere. Someone built them and passed them down.
The particle down?
Down evokes vertical transmission, from above to below, from one generation to the next, from the top of a hierarchy to those who follow.
Like water flowing downstream, it moves downward, carrying something with it.
So, hand down equals transmit something across generations or down a hierarchy, preserving it in the process.
Sixth one, to hand off.
To hand off means to transfer a task or responsibility to someone else, often quickly. You're passing it on because you're done with it or because someone else needs to take over.
There's a sense of letting go, deliberately stepping away from something.
He handed off the project to his successor.
He's done. Someone else picks it up from here.
In my sister's story, she handed off the folder of paperwork to me, slid it across the table. Done.
Classic handoff.
No ceremony, no explanation, just, here, it's yours now.
Another example is, before leaving on maternity leave, she handed off all her clients to her colleague.
Organized, deliberate. Each client transferred to someone who can take care of them.
And the particle off?
Off indicates detachment. You're releasing something from yourself, removing a weight or responsibility and placing it elsewhere.
Like taking something off your plate and putting it on someone else's.
So, hand off means to transfer a task or responsibility to someone else, often quickly or cleanly.
Last one, number 7, to hand on.
To hand on means to pass something along, to transmit it to the next person in a chain. Knowledge, information, a role, an object.
The focus here is on continuity. Something keeps moving. It doesn't stop with you.
She handed on her expertise to the new team members.
She didn't keep it for herself. She shared it, passed it along, and now they carry it forward.
Please hand on this message to whoever is responsible.
You received the message. You're not the final destination. You pass it on.
And the particle on?
On means continuity. Something keeps moving along a chain. It doesn't stop. It doesn't end with the current holder. It goes on to the next person.
Like a relay race. You receive the baton and you pass it on. The movement continues.
So, hand on is transmit something to the next person in a chain, keeping it in motion.
All right, 7 verbs. Let's recap fast.
Hand in.
Submit to an authority or a system.
Hand over.
Officially transfer control or possession.
Hand out.
Distribute to multiple people.
Hand back.
Return to the original owner.
Hand down.
Transmit across generations or down a hierarchy.
Hand off.
Transfer a task or responsibility, often quickly.
Hand on.
Pass something along to the next person in a chain.
7 verbs, 1 root, 7 completely different situations.
And what I find fascinating about this family is how it maps onto real life so precisely.
Every stage of a professional transition involves these verbs.
Think about it. Someone leaves a job. They hand in their resignation. They hand over their responsibilities. They hand on their knowledge to whoever replaces them. They hand back their equipment.
That's 4 phrasal verbs just in one situation.
And in family life, objects get handed down. Keys get handed over. Tasks get handed off. Information gets handed on.
It's the language of transmission, of things moving between people.
Which is actually what language itself does, right? It hands things on.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
I have my moments.
You do. Okay, everyone, your challenge for this episode.
Pick 3 of these 7 verbs.
Just 3.
And think of one real situation in your own life where you could use each one. Your job, your family, your studies.
Write it down, even just a sentence. That's where the learning really happens.
And if you want to go further and test yourself properly, head over to the article linked below this video.
There's a full written recap of everything we covered today, plus a quiz with 5 questions to check your understanding.
It takes 5 minutes, and it makes everything stick much faster.
Because passive listening is a start, active testing is what gets you to fluency.
That's the combination that works every time.
All right, thank you so much for being here today.
Episode 12 down, 18 more to go.
We're doing this together.
And you're showing up every episode. That matters.
Keep going. You're building something real.
See you very soon for episode 13.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.